Metal screamed like it was alive when my harvester rolled over her Porsche. $120,000 of polished German engineering flattened like a soda can under 9 tons of American steel. I didn't plan on destroying it, but after 7 months of harassment, sabotage, and humiliation from HOA President Mandy Blackwell Justice, finally had to make some noise. My name's Travis Lawson. I used to be a Navy SEAL before I came back home to Montana to save my family's farm. 200 acres of soil that had carried 3 generations of Lawson sweat and blood. When my father was dying, he gripped my hand and said, "This land is more than dirt, son. It's who we are." I made him a promise, and I intended to keep it. Transitioning from combat to farming wasn't easy. The nightmares came first, the ambushes, the sudden panic attacks in grocery stores. But out here, working the land calmed me. The rhythm of the seasons made sense. The soil didn't lie. It gave back what you worked for. Everything changed the spring. Mandy Blackwell showed up. She rolled up my driveway in a spotless white Porsche, heels sinking into the mud, looking like she'd taken a wrong turn out of Beverly Hills. "Mr. Lawson," she said, smiling like a politician, "I'd like to make you an offer that benefits us both." That offer was 30% below market value. I politely told her no. Her smile froze for a second, then she gave me that condescending tilt of the head only people with too much money perfect. "You don't understand," she said. "This development is happening with or without you. The smart play would be to take the money now." Then her eyes lingered on the scar down my face. "Military?" she asked, tone dripping with fake sympathy. "PTSD, I suppose. Men like you don't last long out here." I remember gripping the fence post so hard my knuckles went white. This land has drunk blood before, I told her. "If you want it, you'll have to dig through my bones first." For a moment I thought I saw fear or respect in her eyes. Then it was gone. She handed me her card. "No one says no to Mandy Blackwell without consequences." Turns out she meant every word. A week later, HOA violation notices started piling up. Noise complaints about my tractor. Fines for fertilizer odor. Accusations that my irrigation pump disturbed community peace. Every letter came signed by Mandy herself. She wasn't just the HOA president, she was the queen of this valley, and I was the dirt under her heels. Soon after, I caught her construction crew digging near my boundary line at 3 a.m. I installed cameras, logged every trespass, filed complaints. Nothing happened. The sheriff, Frank Miller, an old Vietnam vet, looked over the paperwork and sighed. "Her permits, check out Travis. I know it stinks, but this could get messy." Messy. That was one word for it. The next week, I woke to chainsaws. Mandy's crew was cutting down the oak trees my grandfather planted a century ago. "They're diseased," the foreman said, smirking. Standing beside him was Darren, her muscle built like a tank, arms crossed. When I told them those trees were on my land, Darren shoved me backward into the mud. "Boss says they're coming down," he sneered. "You want to stop us, old soldier? Go ahead." I could have ended him in 3 moves. 15 years of combat training doesn't disappear, but I forced myself to breathe to remember who I was now, not a soldier, not anymore. That night I called my sister Abby, a lawyer in Chicago. "Mandy's trying to force me out," I told her. "She's using every trick in the book." Abby didn't hesitate. "Don't do anything you can't defend in court," she said. "I'll be there tomorrow." When she arrived, the farm was a war zone of paperwork and sabotage. Fuel deliveries mysteriously canceled. Machinery orders lost. Even my bank account was flagged for review. And then came the letter that nearly broke me. Mandy had applied to buy my mortgage from the bank. If she succeeded, she'd own my debt, and I'd lose everything. That night, sitting at the kitchen table with that letter in my hand, I honestly thought about walking away. Maybe Mandy was right. Maybe I was too broken, too tired, too angry to keep fighting. I stared at my dad's photo on the wall, his old Navy cap hanging beside it. "I tried, Dad," I whispered. I really did. Then I noticed his leather-bound law journal on the shelf, the one he used when teaching agricultural law at the community college. I flipped through it aimlessly until one line caught my eye. No person shall knowingly obstruct access to agricultural operations during a time-sensitive harvest. My father's handwriting underlined it twice. It was like he'd written it for me. That same night I got a text from an unknown number. Meet me behind the old fertilizer warehouse. I have information about the development. It was a setup or so, I thought, but curiosity won. There, waiting in the dark, was Greg Stevens, Mandy's personal assistant. Thin, nervous, always hovering behind her at meetings. She's not building a golf course, he said, handing me a USB drive. She's after what's under the ground. Rare earth minerals, your land's sitting on a gold mine. When I asked why he was betraying her, Greg swallowed hard. Your father was my teacher, helped me get through college. I owe him. I can't keep doing this. Abby spent all night digging through the files. Mandy's eco-luxury community was a cover for a massive mining operation. She'd done it in 2 other states, buy land cheap, flip it for millions. We took the evidence to the local paper. The reporter, Marcus Reed, another vet, agreed to run the story. But Mandy moved faster. She bought my mortgage. The letter arrived at sunrise. Pay $180,000 in 14 days or face foreclosure. That's when the real fight began. The harvest was my only chance to save the farm worth more than enough to pay off the debt. But the morning before it began, I found a massive trench dug across the only road to my wheat fields. A big orange sign. Drainage improvements. Authorized by HOA. I called Frank the sheriff. She's blocking my harvest, I said. He sighed. I know Travis, but the permit's legal. I can't do anything right now. When I hung up, the storm clouds were already building on the horizon. 2 days before the rain would destroy my crop, and she'd boxed me in. I felt the panic rise again, the helplessness. PTSD, anger, exhaustion, it all mixed together into something I couldn't name. Abby was flipping through Dad's journal again. There's a clause here, she said. Agricultural access emergency rights. If someone deliberately blocks a harvest, you're legally protected to remove the obstruction. I nodded slowly. Then, that's exactly what I'm going to do. By noon, the sky had gone steel gray. That's when Mandy arrived. Her Porsche glided to a stop right in front of my barn, right in front of the harvester I needed. She stepped out in that same pristine white suit, sunglasses flashing. Darren followed, arms folded, smirking. Your harvest isn't going anywhere, Travis, she said sweetly. Sign the sale agreement now, or watch everything rot in the rain. I kept my tone calm. You're blocking my access during a critical harvest period. Move your vehicle. She laughed. Oh, please. You think your little farm laws mean anything to me? My lawyers cost more than your tractor. Abby pulled out her phone recording. For the record, Miss Blackwell, you've been informed you're violating agricultural access law. Will you move your vehicle? Mandy crossed her arms. I can park here all day. I own this town. You can't touch me. I gave her one last warning, third and final request. She smirked. Go ahead, soldier boy. Let's see what you'll do. So I showed her. I walked to the old shed behind the barn, the one with Dad's backup harvester, the green John Deere he'd kept running for decades. Diesel fumes filled the air as the engine roared to life. The sound rolled across the field like thunder. When I drove it toward the barn, Mandy barely flinched at first. She thought it was for show. Darren looked less certain. Mandy, I called from the cab, move the car. She didn't move. I eased forward slow and steady, 20 feet, 15, 10. You wouldn't dare, she screamed, backing away. Last chance, I said. You're obstructing a lawful harvest. She didn't listen, so I did what needed to be done. The harvester rolled forward with a roar, its massive tires climbing onto the Porsche's hood. Metal shrieked, glass shattered, alarms wailed. The car folded like paper under the harvester's weight. Mandy screamed, her perfect world collapsing in the mud. Darren and his goons ran. When the harvester finally came to a stop, the Porsche was a flattened ruin. I killed the engine and climbed down, calm as ever. You can move it now, I said. Sheriff Frank pulled up just in time to see the wreckage. His jaw dropped. Travis, what the hell happened here? I handed him the law journal. Agricultural Access Emergency Rights Section 71611. I issued 3 warnings. She refused. Abby showed him the video evidence, Mandy's taunts, her refusals, the whole thing on record. Frank made a call to the county prosecutor, then came back shaking his head half in disbelief. "You're covered, Travis. She broke the law, not you. Mandy lost it completely. He destroyed my car. I want him arrested." That's when Greg appeared at the scene holding a folder. "Sheriff," he said quietly, "you should see this." Inside were internal emails proof Mandy had ordered her staff to block my harvest so she could trigger foreclosure. Before anyone could say another word, a woman in a dark suit walked up, flashed a badge. Special Agent Rodriguez, FBI. "Miss Blackwell, you're under arrest for federal fraud and bribery." And just like that, the Queen of Golden Valley was done. The FBI investigation exposed everything bribes to county officials, forged permits, illegal mining deals. The HOA dissolved. Mandy's properties were seized. The bank nullified my loan transfer, and for the first time in a year, I could breathe. When the reporters asked how it felt to crush a Porsche with a harvester, I told them the truth. It felt like freedom. Sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom or a badge. Sometimes it comes from a man who's been pushed too far, sitting behind the wheel of a harvester choosing to stand his ground.